This is our story.
All right, so after Brandon left, Tamra and I both were just kind of ready for a break, and I think we were both a little bit emotionally spent after that, decided that we needed a 2, 3, maybe even a month-long break. So we took a long weekend and got out of town, just kind of recharged and rested up a little bit. When we got back from our trip, we went and picked up Anna and Grace. It was probably about a week before Christmas, I would say, when both of them came to live in our house. And that in and of itself was was overwhelming. I think when we first got Brandon and had one child come to our house, that was one experience, but having 2 children come into our home at one time, that was a whole different experience.
And they're your typical children when you hear about foster care. We are Annalise's 4th place to live, and she's 2.5 years old. And Grace came to us when she was 9 months old, and had really formed that early bond with someone else.
Yes,
and I
definitely.
remember being so heartbroken because I would pick her up and I would hug her, and she didn't want me. She did not have that bond with me. The bond was somewhere else, and I remember she was happiest when she could just be left alone and lay in her bed.
And that was really, really hard because it took a while. We were used to both Anna and with Brandon. When they came into our home, it seemed like we bonded with them.
Immediate.
Yeah, really, really quickly. And Grace was really coming from a different situation. Even though her and Annalise were sisters, her situation and the way she had been brought up was different. And so we had both of them at the same time, but they were almost 2 totally different situations.
Yes, and at first we were on board with the goal. The goal was reunification.
Right, with the mother.
They have a sibling in a different home, and the goal was for them to go back with Mom, and we were on board with that.
They continued to have visits with their mother once a week, at least for the first probably 2 months.
They did, and I remember the hardest thing was when that goal changed, and we went to court, and we sat in that courtroom, and to hear that goal change and know that this mom is losing her rights to her children forever. And I just remember sitting there in the back of that courtroom sobbing, and I was looking at J.O. and trying to get it together because I was the only one crying. And that, I think, devastated me even more, that this mom was sitting there and was so broken and just didn't even have it in her to cry. And
that was a different side of the foster care situation that I know I had never considered, and I don't really think Tamra had ever considered that. We'd never really talked about that these kids come from these situations, but there are parents on the other end, and to see that actually take place, where at this point in time a family was being broken for good, there was no going back, that was overwhelming too, definitely.
But somewhere in there, J.O. and I had to again kind of just go back to all of the prayer and the time together, and just really think, okay, God, what are you calling us to do now? We knew without a doubt that every step along the way, every piece of the puzzle that was falling into place was just by His hands, and just everything was coming together. And it looked like that God was definitely, and we were ready to have the girls placed in our home for an adoptive placement. And we never thought it would happen. We never thought that it would work out to where we were able to keep both girls. And we were just really still going along with what God was having us to do, and really just walking every step of the way by faith. And
things have just worked out at every turn. I think that was both of our prayer the whole time was, Lord, just show us the way, and we'll follow whatever your will is. But if you would, Lord, please just kind of lay it out for us. And it felt like at every turn things became clear on their own.
So they are in our home as an adoptive placement. They have contact with their sibling that's in another home, and we're really now just waiting on a court hearing to make that final. And I will say that it is just amazing. Now Grace wants me and no one else, and so that has been a blessing. How God has just opened that up, and just really I love the way He cares so much about me that He puts me at ease through that, because now she's attached at the hip, and Annalise and her have a bond that is just amazing to watch, and our kids just have
extremely close, it seems like, just almost overnight.
The one thing we would say is that it's not easy, but it's, things worth doing are just definitely worth following God's plan, and just when He has something for you, it's always better than you can imagine.
Right, just like in anything, when God has a plan for you, that's always going to be the best thing to choose, exactly, is what God has laid out for you.
This is our story.